So welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today I will be reviewing Scream 4. Scream 4 is what I will be reviewing today. This is what we are on, and now is Scream 4. Next is the ranking of Scream 4. But before I get into the video, make sure you smash the like button and hit that notification bell. Make sure you go check out everything I have in the description, my merch, my music, my all that in the description. So Scream 4. This is right after the events of Scream 3. Cindy has written a book, which actually surprised me that she actually wrote a book. But yeah, she wrote a book. This has a really good explanation why Cindy, Gail, and Dewey, why they are back in Woodsboro. I think it's all a good reason why they're back in Woodsboro. I love the story. I love the meta on remakes, because that's, all the time, like that's, that was the 2010s, and that was part of the 2000s was remakes. This did a good job encapsulating that, in my personal opinion. Like, that did a really good job encapsulating the 2010s and the late 2000s was remakes. I thought that did a good job. Of course, Cindy, Neve Campbell did a great job in her role. Cindy is one of my favorite final girls. And controversial, I think Cindy is one of the best final girls in my personal opinion. She's one of the best because you feel for her, like you can just feel like how strong she is and just how she conquers everything. You know what I mean? And that's my personal opinion. Scream 4, really good story, really good explanation to where they all came back. I actually enjoy Scream 4. Now I do like the whole opening. I do like the opening, but I prefer the alternative opening. The alternative opening, I think, is a little bit more chilling because it's just Ghostface pops up in in these girls' home. I think that's just a little bit more chilling, a little bit more realistic in my opinion, and I think that fits this movie better. Yes, the original ending that we got fits and it works, but I feel like the alternative opening it's a little bit more effective. And Scream 4 is one of the best sequels out of this whole franchise, and it's simple, but it's also very effective. The kills are good. This is one of the goriest ones by far. It's really gory, lots of good kills, really good body count. And I'm glad Gail Weathers survived, but I kind of was hoping she would kind of gotten killed. Again, I need to stress this. I like the character Gail Weathers. I was just kind of expecting her to die because, the stakes really wasn't risen in this. I feel like again, I love Kevin Williams, but I feel like there hasn't really been any stakes risen. Really, only part 2 is the only Scream movie where it feels like the stakes are risen. I thought part 3 would have risen the stakes, but no, I thought this would have risen the stakes, but it didn't. But I have so many fond memories about this because I remember I actually have the DVD of this too. This is the Blu-ray. Obviously, I prefer the Blu-ray of it, so obviously I watched it on Blu-ray. But I still have the DVD. Like, I remember getting the DVD when it first came out. I remember watching all the trailers and all the interviews for this movie back in the day. I remember Halloween Spirit, specifically that year, like having so much Scream stuff, having like this big Scream head. It was about like this big, like a big Scream head, but like that big was like a big Ghostface head, about that big. Halloween Spirit was going all out with the Scream stuff that year, and I love it. Scream 4, so many fond memories with this movie. So yeah, Scream 4, love this movie, and I think it's perfect. Some people complain about it. I mean, it is what it is, but I actually prefer this movie over part 3. Yeah, yes, there's some weird coloring effects going on, but even though there's like weird coloring effect to it, it doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest. It really doesn't bother me. Another fun fact, there's actually a lot of facts about this franchise and a lot of unfortunate things that have happened in this franchise. Wes Craven and Kevin Williams did not get to make the movie they wanted to make. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you know, the original draft for Scream 4 was going to entirely different. The original ending for this was going to be that, there was going to be no hospital scene. It was going to be on a cliffhanger ending, revealing Kirby was going to be alive. So Scream 4 had an entirely different ending, where Kirby lived and was going to be on a cliffhanger ending, suggesting to me a year later or a year after that year, we was going to get Scream 5. But sadly, that didn't happen because the Weinstein Company and Dimension Films and all of them wanted this movie to be a one-off. They wanted this to be a one-off so they could do their remake. And, they got to do their remake in 2014-15 with the Scream TV show. Look how that turned out, you know what I mean? So, you know, even though I do not mind this ending, I much have rather preferred and seen Kevin Williamson's and Wes Craven's original intent for this ending. That sounds so cool, a Scream movie on a cliffhanger. There really hasn't been any like that, and I think that would have really risen the stakes, especially for the next movie. And which is also I know a lot of people talk about, but I really wonder if Scream 5 is a follow-up to this one. Could they possibly retcon this ending and go with Kevin Williamson's original intent? They might, or could they, basically, do a Halloween 2018 route and pick up after part 1. There's a lot of things they could do with Scream 5, in my opinion. But yeah, Scream 4, I love this movie. I just wish Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven got to, have their ending. Guess who did the rewrites for this movie? The guy who did Scream 3. Scream 3 was not written by Kevin Williams. Edgar Kruger, I believe that's his name. I know his last name's Kruger, which is so odd. His last name's Kruger, but he was brought in to do the rewrites for this movie, and that's really disappointing that Dimension Films had to bring the guy in from Scream 3 that nobody liked. You know what I mean? I feel like that's just, why? But basically, the whole Dimension Films and Weinstein Company, wanted this movie to be a standalone movie and wanted this to be a one-off. They wanted to reboot, in which they succeeded. And thank God, Dimension Films lost the right to this franchise, because I'll be 100% honest. That's why we never seen a Scream 5, let's say in 2012 or 2013, because of the Weinsteins and Dimensions, you know what I mean? So, Scream 4, love this movie start to finish. Really good, a really good concept. Jill is a really good killer in this. She's a really good killer in this. Kirby's a really good, a really good character. They do a really good job of introducing these new characters while bringing in the old characters. I can't talk. I think that's done very well, and I hope in Scream 5 we do see Kirby return. I would like to see Kirby return because of how Wes Craven had that scene shot. That scene was shot specifically for you to determine, is she alive? Is she dead? What's up with Kirby? You know what I mean? Like, that's how Wes shot it, that scene. You didn't see where she was stabbed in the stomach. You didn't see any of that. It was shot that way, so you can think in your head, is she alive? Is she alive? Is she dead? What is this? So I think Kirby's alive. Like, me personally, I think Kirby is alive. And I will love to see her in Scream 5. And I love that Kirby loved horror movies, especially right now. A lot of females love horror movies. My girlfriend, she loves horror movies, and I just love that dynamic, to see that in a Scream movie, that this Kirby character is a female Randy almost. You know what I mean? I just love that. It just adds a different dynamic to the franchise. And a lot of people say this, and I agree. Yes, Scream 4 is ahead of its time. Like Jill talking about people getting famous off the internet. People do that every day now. Girls, you know, really getting into horror. That's something you see more of today. You know what I mean? So Scream 4, in a lot of ways, it's ahead of its time. I feel like it's way ahead of its time, and I think that's fine because Scream 4 is really good. Again, the story is good, really good explanation why Cindy and all of them are coming back. Dewey and Gales are married in this, and it's just a perfect Scream movie. You know, I feel like it's really hard to say what is the best sequel in the franchise. Is it part 2? Is it this one right here? Because I feel like this is a really good, just a really good, recapturing the feel of the first movie. Really, really the first, can't talk, really the first two, because I get a lot of vibes from part 2 from this, actually. More so than the first one, I get a lot of vibes from part 2 from this one. And I think Scream 4 did a good job. And I really give it up for Wes Craven and what Kevin Williams did with this. And I wish we'd have gotten to see their original ending. Not the ending that the guy from Scream 3 did, but regardless, I enjoyed Scream 4. I think it's entertaining, it's fun, some really good kills, some really good gore. Ghostface is intimidating in this, which I like. Again, I like Jill, and I like that guy as the killer. I thought that was really good as the killer. Really good stuff in Scream 4. If you haven't seen Scream 4, what are you doing? You're missing out on a really solid modern day slasher. Really good in my opinion. And, I think, they, in my opinion, I'm very surprised Scream 4 even happened in the year that it did. Again, this came out in 2011. What was coming out in 2011? Remakes, 2010 remakes, all these remakes was happening. Again, this was first announced, I believe, in 2008, I believe. So I'm surprised, we even got this movie. I'm surprised we even got this movie, because the Weinstein Company and all the Dimension people was really, really wanted to remake this franchise, and they did, and look how that turned out. But regardless, Scream 4, I really enjoyed this movie. It's really fun. It's really entertaining. Highly recommend you guys checking out Scream 4. I give Scream 4 a 10 out of 10. That is my review for Scream 4. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Please subscribe first time. Hit the notification bell. Go on the link in the description. Purchase you something from my Redbubble site. If you purchase something from my store, it helps out the channel. So purchase something from the store if you want. Lots of good stuff. T-shirts, face masks, whatever you need on my store. As well, make sure to check out my music. I just recently put out a new album, which I'm very, very proud of, and I'm doing a deluxe to that album, which is coming very soon. Now, I'm not saying a date yet for that deluxe, just know it's coming soon. So yeah, if you enjoyed the review for Scream 4, make sure to like button, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and make sure you guys stay tuned for the ranking that's coming up next. Happy 4th of July to everybody who's watching. Hope everyone's having a great 4th of July, and I will see you guys in the next one.